My name is Amber Pangpara. I am the managing attorney at Justinian and Associates, and we are a multi-docket, high-volume law firm with a national clientele. So I work in different varied areas of law. I have a lot of clients in all of them, and most of these areas of law that I practice in involve a lot of records. So I do pharmaceutical and medical device mass torts nationwide. I'm in about 25, 27 courts at any one time. I have a nationwide immigration practice and a nationwide VA disability practice. So, as I noted, each of these areas of law involve obtaining, digesting, and using a lot of medical records. I have a team of between 12 and 15 people at any one time, but I am the only attorney, and it is extremely important for me to make the best use of my time. And in order to be efficient, I have been an early adopter of technology. I realized several years ago that we needed new solutions for dealing with those medical records. If for every one of my clients I have 4, 6, 8,000 pages of records, and I have hundreds or thousands of clients, just the time to process those, OCR them, is tremendous. And then having to construct medical chronologies, and then from those chronologies, get the pin sites of all the various bits of information that I need. It can be extremely time consuming and extremely expensive. And frankly, I don't have enough dedicated staff to do that. I was finding it very difficult to get good chronologies. I tried different commercial services, and that included, some AI-assisted medical chronologies. Then I also hired out with experienced paralegals who literally did nothing but draft me chronologies. And I was still finding errors. Every time I looked at these records, I would find things that all these other people who've been looking at it, touching it, didn't. And it was particularly evident when I was prepping cases for trial. You will know when you're in a deposition if you have missed something or something isn't, cited quite right, or you don't have the right screen grab. I can upload medical records that I've received, and it's automatically OCR'd. I'm not tying up a computer for a day trying to OCR them with Adobe. That is huge. And I used to actually have 1 or 2 computers that did nothing but OCR records because it took so long. And then they would still fail. I'd still have errors. I do not have that issue anymore. Once those records are in the system, anytime AI allows me to make sure those records are organized, they're in a format that makes sense for me, I can not only create a great chronology that goes through all of the visits, that deduplicates visits. If, I have 7 versions of the same record in different places, but it obtains all the necessary information, the useful information that I need to pull out. I get my CPT codes, I get my ICD codes. I can tell who is the actual provider. And that can be quite confusing for a human even looking at it, because, you can have 7 versions of Sacred Heart, blah, 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 blah. And it's, all these different hospitals, providers, surgical centers. And because it pulls out all of this information, I can find or figure out what I'm missing. So I can see, there's a mention of this PCP that I never got the records for, so I can get them. And so I have the records organized. I have them in a usable format, and every single citation has a pinpoint site. That way I'm ensuring there's no hallucinations, there's no errors. And if something is being interpreted incorrectly, then I can actually interact, with the records by using my Agentic AI, by using Ask Teddy to find things or clarify things. It does not replace my analysis. What it does is it focuses my analysis. I can figure out what's important, what is missing, and also it gives me ideas on the best ways to present the evidence. Had a huge impact not only on making the records themselves more useful, but being able to do an early vetting of a case. And that's where the case evaluation comes in, because after I've created the summary, I'm looking at it, and then I asked Teddy to give me the case evaluation and insights. And it's amazing because it will, from the records, determine the potential causes of action and things to look at. And what's really interesting is, like, I tend to not tell it right away. I want to get that first evaluation to see what it pulls. And so I've had cases where it will pull, oh, there was this potential med mal issue, or this was domestic abuse victim. May not be my issue, but it's great to highlight all of the potential legal landmines that are in there. And then I can easily focus it. So I can say, looking at this as this type of litigation, please provide me an updated evaluation that tells me the evidence that we have that's helpful, that's not helpful, and what else I need to look for. I'm able to get done very, very quickly things that often would take months and months and months, because even if we work hard to get those records, but just getting the records, processing them, took tremendous amount of not just computer time, but staff time. I had to hire extra staff. So we're leaner and we're meaner because we can get that information we need easier and use it. I can get it done within a day or less. I was working on a very large litigation where we had huge data sets, and we at one point had something like 400 different medical records for different clients that we had to process and deal with. And that is an incredibly expensive thing to get done, especially when you're working on not your timeline, but the court's timeline. Now I have no fear. I know I can get that done.
If you do not use AI, you are doing your clients a disservice. In order to provide the best legal services, it's important that we utilize available technology. Second, you're going to make the lives of your staff much better and much easier. They will have less stress, and they are going to be able to also have improved insights, because instead of spending their mental energy on trying to OCR a file for days, they're going to be able to dig right in. And we can also do things like share prompts. I can come up with a prompt, I can share it with my staff, and that way I'm not necessarily going in there doing their jobs or trying to step in for them, but I'm helping them get their jobs done. I could provide updates to my clients so much faster. It used to take 6 months, a year to work through all the medical information for a client and say, hey, this is where we're at on your case. But now I can see, all right, this is where we're weak on the case. This is what we need. And look, there's a few more providers. We're going to go ahead and order those records. And when I get additional records, I put it in. I can easily update that chronology, update that evaluation.
I did want to make one other point, and that is value. It's so important to me to make sure that whatever tool I'm using is enhancing value for my client. So we talked about all the ways that it makes it more efficient, and we're making better use of staff time, and we're not wasting resources by having to hire outside help. All of those things would impact ultimately the amount of recovery that our client gets. By harnessing medical evidence more effectively, I can increase value. And that's something that we've certainly seen with mass tort cases. They have, the general settlement, but a lot of times there's something called an extraordinary injury fund. And so it's an additional potential settlement that somebody can get if they have really bad injuries. But it's very particular. All of the criteria are super, super picky. You need exactly this, and that. And you've got to show it this way. And the resources of Anytime AI in particular, we've been able to really maximize value on cases. We've already seen this because the last litigation that we did, where we were able to do a lot more of these EIF claims than we had in the past, and we were successful on almost all of them. Again, additional recovery for the client, additional fees for us, no additional cost.